so much of the problem, so much of the solution actually lies in really foundational stuff that people aren't thinking of. It's actually about data verification. It's so much a data play. They have a means of collecting that data and refreshing that data, verifying that data. Like, this sounds really contradictory, but if I've gotten what I wanted much earlier, we wouldn't have had the business we had. There's a real value in slowness. I've always, I read a lot of books and I love biographies and I'm interested in tech leaders and all this. Well, this move fast and break stuff, I just do not. That hasn't been my experience. Like, we would have made just such different decisions that I do. We wouldn't have uncovered some of the absolute gems that we've uncovered that were just through because we had no choice but to go slow.
Running a business can feel lonely, especially when the decisions get heavy. Welcome to CEO Whisperer by Saurabh Jain. Practical insights from the boardroom and the meditation cushion. I'm Saurabh. I've done 10,000 hours in 3 major parts of my life. I've spent 10,000 hours being a CEO, 10,000 hours being a board member, and 10,000 hours meditating. What we're going to do in each episode is really unpack a real business challenge that a CEO is facing and see if we can work through it together. Enjoy.
Hi, g'day guys. Welcome to another episode of CEO Whisperer. Today I've got Chris from Taylr with us. Chris, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Where do I start? A bit about myself. So I'm sort of a real estate guy background, but for my sins, I sort of had a expertise and a career in strata management, and then for the last 20 odd years, I've been trying to extract myself from strata management and find myself just right back in the thick of it. About 10 years ago now, 11 years ago now, I left agency and I founded Vantage Strata with me and a couple of business partners. A couple of them have since exited, but there's me and my current business partner that now own 50% each. Vantage it'd be approaching 17,000 units under management, all in Canberra, almost exclusively. Canberra boy. I've moved out of the coop now from Canberra to Melbourne, funnily enough, and people think I've left the business, but no, I've just had a change of scenery. But still up to my neck in strata land at the moment.
Perfect. Awesome. So the way we run these sessions is we have a problem that is very top of mind right now, and we kind of workshop it together. So what is something that's causing you grief right now?
Yeah, so it's much greater than a labour of love. I very early on in my strata career, I sort of had this idea that, and I'm not the first to have it, like many have called, few are chosen on this idea. I had this real interest in getting at the behind the door services in strata. So if any person listening to the podcast who's in strata will instantly know what I'm talking about, and anyone who's not in strata will have absolutely, no clue. But, strata management, or just strata living more generally, people living in apartment complexes or townhouse complexes with this sort of high concentration and high density of these people living together in these communities. And the strata manager's role is to manage the common property, but they just have this captive audience, and all these people are consuming products and services, and they've, we create these little micro communities, but no one has ever really tapped into how to service the needs of these micro economies. So very early on, I really had an interest in wanting to do that. And in fact, it was more interesting to me than the strata management side. I always said one day, and it's not proven to be true, may never be proven to be true, but I always said one day a strata business will manage these things for free, because there's so much opportunity to get at selling services to the people that live and own in those units. So I've had this labour of love, which eventually manifested into creating a new business adjacent to the strata business. It's a totally separate entity and organisation called Taylr Services, and its sole purpose is to get at that behind on the front door opportunity. And to be fair, it's a bit weird to call it a labour of love now, because we're probably 3.5, 4 years into it. We're probably approaching $2 million of cash tipped into it. I've got such high conviction.
It's real now.
It's real.
It's real, yeah.
It's a money hole though. It's not a profitable thing. And you can look down the path to see what its journey to profit is, and it's a long, expensive journey to get there. But it's I've got such high conviction because the indicators are all there, and if it comes together the way that I think it could, it's really potentially explosive.
So what are you trying to solve in the Taylr space? Like, what's top of mind now?
What are we trying to solve from the business, or what's
the problem that you're trying to solve right now?
what's the need? Like, why does Taylr exist?
No, as in like, what part of the business are you struggling with, or
Yeah.
want to kind of workshop together?
So probably at a really basic level, it's how to fund the thing, how to get access to funding, what the right path and what the right timing is to sort of call on that capital.
Okay.
Actually, how to get it.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing, Saurabh. I've got, like, I invest in a few things. I don't put huge money in. I'm not loaded, but people come to me and they pitch stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm good for 50 grand or 100 grand in that. I'm an easy sell too, by the way.
Oh, you've invested in CU Health.
I've invested in CU Health. Yeah. I mean, another thing that I'm pretty passionate about at the moment called Settle. I won't go into that, but yeah, I have an interest in doing that stuff. And whenever people come to me and they say, "Oh, I'm raising money, would you put some in, or can you introduce me to people?" I'm really great at going and finding money for these people. Like, I would have found more than I would have been directly involved in introducing to Pat Howard, who you had on the podcast, directly involved in introducing him to about $1.5 million. But when it comes to raising it for myself, I just don't really know where to go or how to go about it. I don't feel like I feel like if I'm asking for it for myself or my own enterprise, I'm reluctant to go to the friends, family, personal network.
Not so much how do I fund it, but why can I help others raise, but I can't raise for myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a funny question. Yeah. So why can I raise for others or help others raise, but not raise for me? Does that sound right?
Totally. Yeah.
So take us to the beginning. So you said you started off your career as in real estate. That was real estate sales, was it?
Well, I mean, I'm bullshitting a bit there. I actually did start in strata management. It's a funny thing with strata managers. Anyone who's in strata sort of, they're often embarrassed about it. Yeah, it's not the top of the property tree. So, I started in strata, and the guy that the company,
As an actual strata manager?
as a strata manager,
Okay.
I didn't know what strata was. It was actually a carpenter. I was doing carpentry work, and we had the contract. Me and my old man had the contract to do all the maintenance work for all the Myer stores and Grace Brothers stores in our area. And anyway, one day we got a fax, and it said, "We're nationalising this thing. Thanks. You don't have a job tomorrow." And I was like, "Shit, what am I?"
How old have you been at the time?
I was early 20s, but I was taking the piss. Like, this was the biggest bullshit job. It was. And it's a good thing, because if I'd stayed like that, it wasn't going to go. It wasn't going to go anywhere good. And I was able. No one knew, no one knew who we were or what we were doing. They were all the store managers in retail. We were just these guys that would get around and
Fix stuff?
Yep, to fix stuff. So it was sort of hiding in plain sight stuff, and it was a piss take. So one day I'm confronted with this thing. I've lost. You don't have a job anymore. I didn't really love what I was doing anyway, but I didn't know how to pay the bills. I was going to a music festival that weekend, Splendour in the Grass, which is in Byron Bay, and I pulled the pin. I said, I'm not going to go, and one of the guys that was on the trip, who I'd never met, absolutely tore strips off me, and they said, "You are coming to this festival. You've committed to us. We'll be there." We were driving to Queensland at like 9:00 that night. He said, "We're going to be there to pick you up." So, shit. I went to this music festival, and the whole weekend, this guy who started out really bristly was giving me a pep talk. He said, "You're a smart guy. What are you doing? You should look into something professional." Anyway, I got back from that trip a couple of days later with no money. This is the days when you'd buy the newspaper, the Wednesday newspaper, and they'd fold the thing out. Like,
Good old days, yeah?
pen out, and so I'm circling all these things. And one of them was strata manager. So I was just blindly throwing darts at the dartboard and going to interviews having no idea what it was. I went to an interview for a strata manager. I walked out of there and I had a phone call before I got to the car saying, "Oh, we loved you. You've got the job." It was a month before I knew what the hell it even was. I couldn't explain it to my friends. I was.
What did your dad do? Was he ready to retire, or was he out
Nah.
for a job at the same time as well?
Dad is
He's a real carpenter.
a real carpenter. I was
Yeah.
a pretend carpenter.
Yeah.
I was doing maintenance work. Dad's a carpenter. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
and
so
he was fine.
He found what everyone.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He had the contract to do that, but he was doing other
And
stuff.
how many years ago was this that you went to that interview?
That must have been about 20 years ago.
So has the last 20 years of your life just been an accident? Just because
A total accident.
that one lucky break?
Yeah, and I tell you what's funny as well is the whole time when I first started, because strata management is a really shit gig in many respects. Am I allowed to swear? Is that
Yeah, totally. Yeah, fuck it.
Oh, good. I wasn't going to go the F bomb, but you started it. Yeah, strata management's a really tough gig because it's just pretty.
It's a grind.
It's a real grind. And probably from the moment I got in there with my girlfriend at the time, I remember saying, like, I'd say this every few weeks, and it was every couple of months. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm just going to get this on my CV. 3 months. Oh, maybe 3 months is the next months. I'll get a good job in the public."
And were you working for a large firm at the time, or a local Canberra?
It was a local Canberra firm, but they were large, but 10,000 units.
Okay.
Canberra Units Plan Services, CUPS.
Okay. Are they still around?
No. So CUPS is the place I worked for. Peter Ribbons was the owner of CUPS. She's a great lady. I think through my life, I probably have maybe 3 or 4 mentors that I can pinpoint, professional mentors, that whether they knew they were or not. She was probably the first real professional mentor. She was great. But I went to work for CUPS. It was always a stepping stone. I was always just waiting to get enough time under my belt that I could go get a job at the public service, being a Canberran, because I've got this lazy streak in me. I thought, just go somewhere where you get paid, an honest week's pay for an honest day's work. And then that company was bought by one of my other great mentors, Doug O'Mara, who owns Civium.
Yep. That's another strata manager in Canberra.
It was a strata company, but they were real estate guys. He was a commercial real estate agent, and he had commercial real estate sales and leasing. And he thought, probably not correctly, but it made sense on paper, he thought if he bought a commercial strata management rent roll, that would be a feeder for stuff for sales and lease.
Yep.
And you see that happen occasionally throughout the industry. People think they're going to buy strata. They're not interested in strata. It's going to be some feeder to what they really want to do, which is sales.
But actually what it does, it just ruins your brand.
It totally,
because no one actually likes your strata manager.
That's exactly what happened with Doug. But anyway, he bought from Peter Ribbons just the commercial stuff, brought it in. And I think
so. Commercial buildings, was it?
The commercial portion of her strata management book, which was fairly small. It was probably 10% of the whole portfolio. He bought that and then absorbed it into his business. It was going to be a feeder for all these other things he actually wanted to do. But I think what happened was he looked at it and went, "This is a fucking really good. The fundamentals of this business are really good." So he came back a couple of years later and said, "I'll buy the whole lot." So when he bought the whole lot, I came along with that business. Now I was with a real estate.
How many years were you a strata manager then? By then,
I was a strata manager a couple of years or so. Yeah.
And were you kind of good at it? Were you enjoying it?
I was good at it. I've got this weird thing where a lot of the things I'm good at despite the fact that I'm not disciplined enough and I probably shouldn't be. I sort of whatever I lack in being on top of things and good time management, I make up for by being personable and having good relationships with people, and they get away with a lot more, to be honest.
Yep.
They just like me. If someone likes you, they kind of like,
they turn a blind eye to stuff.
Don't worry about it. Next week it'll be fine. So that got acquired by Doug. It was Ray White at the time. They rebranded to Civium eventually. So I kind of went into this now. I was parachuting into this real estate world. And me and Peter's son were going to buy into the business, and we were going to start acquiring shares, and that rug got pulled out from under us when Doug came in and bought the whole lot. So I was sort of sulking. I didn't want to do strata management anymore, but if you want, I'll stick around and I'll do, if you've got some other stuff that you're doing in real estate that I can do, maybe that'll be a pathway into commercial sales or commercial agency. And that's what happened. I stuck around, and I became a commercial sales and leasing agent, and I loved it.
That was a deliberate choice to pursue.
That was a choice.
Yeah.
It was sort of, there's push-pull forces. Like I was being pulled towards the agency stuff because it looked fun and interesting, and it's a deal doing kind of thing. I'm a real deal do. Like I get whatever that part of the brain that gets the endorphin from doing deals. I really like that. That motivates me. So I was pulled toward that, but I was pushed away from strata. Like
Often I've found people that enjoy deals actually enjoy something a bit subtler. They enjoy convincing people.
maybe that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why you're quite personable. But you actually enjoy convincing someone about your point of view.
Yeah. I think, well,
And that's actually what a deal is, right? You convince some guy
Totally.
to do what you want them to do.
yeah, totally. I think you might, you may have a point there. It's just more enjoyable. And I got to be careful because I've got a big strata business and I've got a lot of people that work for me. And there was a time when I would say to people, well, what do you do? Oh, I'm a real estate agent. Even when I got back into strata, the strata manager is a licensed real estate agent where we are. And it was this kind of like, I didn't want to admit that I was a strata manager. I've gone full circle. I am strata. I love strata. If someone says, what do you do?
You
I'm
own it now.
fucking strata manager. It's great. So I've got to be careful with my staff that they don't think I'm just shitting all over it. But the truth is, real estate is fun. Agency's fun. Most interactions you have with people are positive. We're not selling, mortgagees in possession. We're selling commercial property.
You're not getting complaints, professional customers.
People are getting their first office, or a big company's moving to the big office, or someone, like it's
happy event.
It's generally a happy event. And
then how long then before you went out on your own?
So I had this because I had the strata background, and because I'm a deal doer by nature, and because I had this position in this real estate business that also had a big strata business, they had a lot of, that there were a lot of developers who I used to service their needs for new developments. So we'd win the strata management of it. So I hung on to that. And the guys that owned the business were like, well, the strata buildings you win are really important, they're really valuable. So there's no reason you can't be a real estate agent. You're just doing deals ultimately. So I kept that portion, and it made up part of my commission and my income. I probably did better out of that than I did out of the sales stuff, to be honest. So because I had this profile and I sort of continued to cultivate it, I'm a pretty good self-promoter too, so I never, I was the president of the Strata Association, and I'd go and give talks at the Property Council on strata stuff. I always saw it as an in, and I was able to work it well. I saw it as an in. A developer would give you their apartment complex, and it would have a floor of office and then ground floor retail stuff. I was selling that stuff, so I saw
you can sell it. You can manage the other.
Yeah, yep. You get the stuff from the developer off the plan. You get the first look at everything. So, I kept that connection because it served me well, and it was valuable, and it was earning an income for me. And then that reputation just kind of continued to build out in strata world. So even though I would say this period of time where I was, in agency, most people just think of me.
But you were still working for Doug at this stage, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the guys that I eventually went into partnership with in Vantage, they had decided they were going to start a strata business, and they were looking for someone to sort of be the face of it. And
was someone else's idea, or was that your idea, the strata?
No, it wasn't. I was approached.
Yeah.
I really wanted to make it work in where I was, because I was, good friends with these people, and I'm a loyal person, and I kind of wanted to, make my fortunes with the people that I became friends with and loved and had worked with. But it just sometimes you can't. And this is a lesson I've learned in life, and I'm quite philosophical about it. Loyalty, it's only ever disloyal when it's costing you something, right? Like sometimes you just can't square that circle, and a lot of people have said to me over the years, they were crazy there. They should have, they should have given you, and I'd say, no, they shouldn't. What someone get? I would have given
Everyone
someone
cares about themselves.
20% of my fucking business. It's worth, the business is probably worth $25 million. I'm not just going to get, it just doesn't make sense. And it was the strata business in particular for them was a real sacred cow, right? for good reason. So, like, unless I've got a $5 million check, or unless there was not a way really to make that work. So it was inevitable that I was going to leave.
And they wouldn't have seen your value until you were gone.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I was valued, but I was also not. I didn't do enough to warrant enough respect. I was always kidding around and being a dickhead, and it was I was a lovable kind of character in that environment, but I wasn't, I wasn't a serious person.
Yeah.
So, I think I was maybe taken for granted a bit at that the impact that it might have had when I left, and I probably didn't realise myself. But I was approached by the guys that I eventually went into partnership with, and they wanted to start a strata business. There was, 3 partners looking for a 4th.
Why do they want to start a strata business? What was their context?
Well, so the 2 guys really that were behind it, the 2 guys that have since exited, Paul Powderly and Peter Maloney. Paul Powderly is the CEO of Colliers in our area.
So he knows that space, yeah.
Knows that space, and they had a really big project marketing channel. So they were, at the time, they were the sort of premier off the plan unit sales agency, and they didn't do strata management, so they referred all of that stuff to me. And they
And the CEO's thinking, why don't I refer it to my own business? I guess.
Yeah, they're looking
That
at
makes
this
sense.
money walking out the door. But there's real value in strata management. There's real value in the appointment from the developer of these developments, and for the most part, that's just given away.
So when you joined, so those 4 of you, so what, 25% each is
25% each.
So
Yeah.
why weren't you 50%? Why were you only 25%? Because you were the guy that was actually doing the work, right? Albeit getting paid.
Yeah, this is a good question. I wish I had a time machine and
Like
I could
you're the
take
guy
you back there.
Like you're the guy that took the risk. You're the guy that quit your job.
I was the guy that took all the risk. Look, it was an opportunity that I don't think I otherwise. I look back because at the time I was really wrestling with going out on mine. These guys came and approached me at a time when I knew that it was time for me to go and do my own thing, and I knew that I could do something. So these guys approached me about that time, and it was a coin toss about whether I went with these guys or I just went with my sister, and my sister and I went and started a strata business together. Looking back on it, you can dwell on I could own this whole thing and it was this great success story, and like you can grumble about what you didn't keep for yourself. The truth is, I don't think I could have replicated the success that I had without the influence of these other guys.
But did you get a lot of work from like the Colliers part?
We got a bit.
Yeah.
They'll, if you talk to Paul Powderly, he's a great guy, but
It's never as much as expected.
well, there's always GST on something, So if you depends who you talk to. You talk to him, he'll go, oh, it was a funny story actually. When they approached me the first time, they had a false start. They tried to get me a year earlier, and we came really close, and then they pissed me off because Paul had said, listen, here's all your 3 biggest clients, and I've spoken to them, and they're going to come over to this new venture that we're starting. They're going to give us all their development work anyway, so you may as well come on board because you're going to lose these customers anyway. And fuck, that was pretty daunting. I thought, shit. Now I knew these developers because I'd done a lot of work for them, and I'd built relationships with them, and I rang them, and I'm like, so I've heard from Paul that you're going to give all your business to this new venture, and I'm thinking of going over. Do you think I should? And they all said the same thing. They said, well, that's funny. Paul's told us you're coming to go and work for this new team. So
that's why you should come over.
You may as well give us all your business. And I went, right. So anyway, look, there was significant influence from Paul and the Colliers units that I wouldn't have otherwise managed. But there was a lot of stuff that I probably would have been able to manage.
Decide to go with these 3 guys or not with your sister?
I think it was just it was sort of playing the odds. All the whole time of my and I also have this sort of ivory tower kind of fallacy as well. I've always when I was at Ray White Commercial was not like a big it's not like the big JLLs or Colliers or whatever. They're franchises usually, and so the way we would do things when we do a deal is you'd go and get a fucking form out of the thing and you'd write on it and scan it to it was really low tech, and it felt like the little mum and dad operation. And I'd always look at these other Colliers and these guys and think, that's
And the shiny shoes.
that's where the serious guys are. I bet you they don't have forms that they fill
I
out.
guarantee they did.
Turns out,
I guarantee.
every time you go and peek behind one of those doors and you think you're going to see this much slicker operation, you're always disappointed. You're always like, oh, fuck. What do you got? How do you guys track that? You just got an Excel spreadsheet. You're kidding me. Where's the
It's
the growth
fascinating
system?
when you go to like a property event, a conference, and you hear all these CIOs and CEOs talk about, oh, we're applying AI, we're doing this, and you ask them, and they still manage their leases in a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Like they do none of this.
totally.
They do nothing.
And I've had some exposure to that in various contexts, particularly over the last couple of years. Yeah, working with prop tech businesses or being involved as an investor in Medi-health businesses. You get in and you look behind the door. A lot of people are just spit and polish, and they're just hustling.
Yeah, but let me get to. I want to really understand why pick those three guys, not your sister. Isn't it they didn't believe in yourself yet? You didn't believe you had that confidence to succeed?
Yeah, I'm sure that must have been part of it, but it was also, it really was that at the time not yet having had the veil lifted, and it was, these guys were from Colliers,
So it was that romantic notion. Oh my God, they're amazing.
romantic notion of being part of at the big boys table.
Okay.
These guys are the bigger influences, and to an extent that sort of was true. Just because when you go and look behind the curtain, there's just a hamster on a wheel. It's not that sophisticated. They did still have, they were connected in a way that
you wouldn't have been yourself yet.
That I wouldn't have been, and that the place I came from wasn't. It was real influences that and it was good. I think it was good for me to be part of that world. See, I don't have. This is almost the opposite of what you're saying. I don't. It's almost pathologically deficient in self-doubt. Like I would look at that and not think, oh, geez, one day I'd like to be invited there. I look at that and go, why aren't I there? That's, I belong over there. What am I?
So kind of like low on the self-doubt kind of thing.
Okay. I don't have self-doubt. I've never had any. Yeah, it's never really occurred to me that things wouldn't work out, and I've never felt like I had to wait for someone to tell me it was time for me to take my spot wherever, like, and I used to, even some of the guys I used to work with I'd do team up a lot with deals with leasing stuff with another guy.
That's kind of true. Like you kind of chose to make the move from strata to leasing commercial.
Yeah.
There's probably a two-way conversation to go to strata. Okay, so you start strata. Does it take a lot of money to start up a strata business back in the day? Is there a huge investment? It's just the guy, right?
So it was just me. I was the only one working in the business for a little bit. Then we hired someone fairly quickly, and we weren't paying him nothing. We paid him, I think it was like 120 grand a year. So he was a senior person that we poached who was running another business that was sort of imploding at the time, and so there were costs, but we put in 25 grand each to start it.
100 grand, you got your business up running.
We never put in another cent.
Yeah.
We capitalized again by going to the bank and getting lines of credit and all that, but we never had to put in another cent.
So your investors did really well out of this, and
yeah, they did very, very well. So the two, and I won't give numbers, but Paul exited first. Nothing ever became acrimonious with anyone. Each of the people who exited, they were ready to exit, and they could see. So of the four, there's Paul Padley, who I was talking about, Peter Maloney, who's an old gruff, another real mentor of mine. He's sort of the elder statesman, but he's a real estate agent, property manager. Maloney's real estate in Canberra. Great guy, really sardonic though. But they're both of a similar age, sort of 60-odd now. Whereas me and Rupert are of a similar age. So these guys, while the thing was, eventually things became successful, they could see not only was there an opportunity for them to cash their chips in, they'd done well, they hadn't really had to do much for it, but they also could see Rupert and I wanted to get, to be properly motivated, we'd need to get
You
more.
need to get more.
So
Okay.
they sort of had that natural kind of
Mhm.
tension, and tensions build over the years. It never got like super tense, but there was tensions building there. If me and Rupert are going to go and put our blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, we're not doing it
You want to be bigger, reasonable customer.
to have all these
Yeah.
other, people that aren't putting the same in.
So how many years were you the CEO of Vantage for?
About 10 years.
10 years. And where did you start? Where did you finish in terms of size, metric, or whatever
We
metric?
started with a duck egg. We had zero, and we just grew it organically. From mostly, early days, it was all new development stuff. But eventually, by the time I was sort of, by the time we got about 10,000 lots or something, we would have been, I don't know, maybe 60% new development across the portfolio. Fairly even now. So when I exited, when I stepped out of that role, I didn't exit. I stepped out of that position. I think we had hit 14,000 plots.
So that's rare
Yeah.
to see a strata manager grow. Most every strata manager I know atrophies. Like they
Yeah.
actually organically lose lots.
Yeah.
And the only way they grow is by buying someone else who's been able to grow, which tends to be a very smaller people. And it's very rare for someone to hit like more than a couple of thousand. It's very rare to hit, I don't know, many that hit 10,000 from zero.
I don't think we knew, ignorance is sort of bliss. And sometimes, not like, I didn't really have a reference point. I came from the business that Dougie had, and they were 10,000 lot. I don't know. I just sort of had this sort of
You thought that was normal?
10,000 lots was kind of my aspiration. It was arbitrary, but that's sort of what I felt like we could do that. When I was working there, I knew, I was winning 2,000 lots a year for their business. They had a leaking. They'd come in the top though, and they'd just fall straight out the bottom.
But I guess I'm assuming Vantage case you stopped the leaking out the bottom, did you?
Or
you just had it less than the other guys?
No, we didn't. We had really high retention probably for the first
So you solved both. You solved
10 years really.
So you solved the sales and you solved retention. So you got 8 customers.
We, in a manner of speaking, we didn't really solve for retention. We solved for retention in a way that actually isn't scalable and actually is not,
What type of service was it? Or
well, it was founder led, personally involved in everything, and really having all the way from about 0 to 6,000 lots. I'd say I was, on a first name basis with every committee and going to meetings and doing all that stuff, and that was good. I knew early on though that was not the business that we wanted to have. It was fine to get from point A to point B, but it was really clear that wasn't going to be the thing that took us from a 6,000 lot business or a 10,000 lot business to a 20,000 lot business.
But it's a great way to get to 6,000 lots.
It's a great way to get to 6,000
because even that's I don't think perhaps you don't realize that's an insane win.
Yeah,
I don't see that replicated a lot in your game.
Yeah, there's a couple of businesses in Canberra that have replicated it, but the funny thing, and I won't be specific, but I'm being complimentary to them anyway. But another one of my competitors, we started at a very similar time. Both grew. We were always about 1,000 lots ahead of them, but we both grew at a similar trajectory. They just stopped at about 4,500, 4,000, 5,000 lots, and they'd be open with me. They said, we just can't,
and the system broke, right? And they could not scale past.
And we just sailed on. But there's a real lesson in delayed gratification, because this same person who I'm friends with, frenemies, would often crow about, we paid ourselves our 30% profit from day one. We didn't. We
invested it back in.
We were hiring people. It was a human capital game, and there's this wave of new property. We're in a development boom at the time. There's all this new property coming in. What are you going to do with the gas you've got in the tank? Well, we were just throwing it back at the that accelerating.
So at the end of that decade, you got 14,000 lots. You've actually proved you're a successful CEO, successful growth guy. Why would you leave that? Why would you let your business partner now become the CEO?
Yeah, look, I proved I was. So I sort of contradict myself here when I say I don't. I've got deficiency in self-doubt, because I do. This isn't some way of trying to beat myself up or try and solicit, compliments from people. The truth was, I'm not a great CEO, and I certainly, I think I proved that I was a great founder, and I was great at building. I'm good at building things together. I could sell the sizzle, get people to come on board when there's nothing to come on board to, it's still a dream.
Well, when you have 14,000 lots, how many employees would you have had?
Oh, we
What's the
had,
size of the office?
it was huge. It's really difficult to benchmark because people hear these numbers and they go, that doesn't sound right at all. But it was about 80 on
Okay, so you had a big team.
count.
Like you had enough people that you almost didn't know everybody.
Totally, yeah. It was starting to get to that point.
Yeah.
And with certainly with our business, I guess with a lot of businesses, like as the problems really started to manifest and as it was clear that this needed something different, like we couldn't get to the next.
What made it clear? Like, how did you know?
Like, the service standards would slip considerably. Like you just weren't in control of things. Big staff attrition and profitability not commiserate to the size of the business that we'd grown. It was because it was just this wild white knuckle rocket ride of just we're growing, of hiring, indiscriminate hiring and super inefficient and there's structure there, but the structure wasn't rigid and really clear.
And structure's not your thing?
I like structure. I certainly appreciate structure, but there's some things that people are good at, and that's not one of the things I'm good at. Conceiving it, mind mapping it, executing on it. I get for far more high level, So in our business, it was the case, but in I'm sure this is the case in a lot of other businesses. A lot of that frame really didn't arrive. It wasn't a 14,000 lot problem. It was really probably a 9,000 lot problem. It just had this.
You just persisted for that 6, 12, 18, 24 months.
Partly that, but it just also had this, lagging indicator, like it was the problems that we were seeing weren't like if you started to see problems, it wasn't a thing that was because we got to whatever 12,000 lots. The seeds of those issues lay way back.
Sure.
Way back then.
So then you decide that you're going to step aside and have your business partner step in as a CEO. Had you already started Taylr by then? Had that idea?
Yeah, we had started Taylr by then. Yeah, we probably so what have I been? Maybe 2 years out of the hot seat with Rupert. So Taylor's probably about 4 years old. So we're probably about 2 years into it.
And why is Taylr separate? Why isn't it just part of Vantage?
The aspiration for Taylr has really always been to service businesses beyond Vantage Strata.
Okay, so if you're owned by Vantage, you could not sell to a competitor, which that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Like Vantage is a sandpit, has proven a great sandpit, but Vantage is really just the way.
Hopefully they're your number one customer.
They are.
I'd be very disappointed if Rupert didn't buy.
No, they're a number one customer. But, it really is the proving ground. And, it's high degree of difficulty, high chance of never being able to crack the code. But if we can do it, then it's attractive to every strata company in the country. Like there's no one who would not be interested in the conversation of we think we know how to unlock an extra $100 of revenue.
So what's the 30-second summary of what Taylr does, just so people can understand?
Taylr, it aggregates demand for services in strata communities and aggregates supply of those services and connects them in a really efficient way.
So, for example, I'm in a Pico managed townhouse.
Yep.
So they pest control the common areas.
Yep.
And I get like a leaflet under my door, say we'll do the common areas, pay us an extra $90, we'll do your area as well.
It's exactly the same concept, just executed
better.
In a much more
the shame of it is
way.
If I just because I've still got leaflets in my letterbox. And I check my letterbox like once a quarter.
Yeah.
So by the time I get it, I'm like, damn, I've missed it.
Yeah.
If they only did it better, I would buy that every single time.
Yeah. You need to there's so many friction points. And what we started out what we thought we were going to do, it's just mushroom. This is part of the challenge in sort of raising money is like this thing mushrooms so big. It's almost hard. I have a hard time nailing a pitch to get people to actually even understand what it is. And I'm probably got a bit of, I'm just maybe somewhere deep down, I'm like, I just would rather just go and do it and show it and just show some results rather than, it's really hard to sell the idea of it.
It's hard because, you've got to really tell your pitch to your audience. If you're non-strata, it's a complex thing to understand.
I did this Shark Tank thing and I thought I nailed it. And it was like a friendly Shark Tank thing, right? It was like at this at the Cub. I don't know if you know the Cub.
Yeah, I've heard of Cub. Yeah.
There's this thing. So they have one of those, and people came out. I was one of the last ones to present. So everyone came out, and they were really friendly to them. There wasn't Shark Tank where they were like fucking really sucking them. I came out, I thought I nailed it, and they just tore strips off me. They were like, "I'm confused. I have no idea what you're talking about." It is actually really hard to get. If you live in Strata world, you get it.
But if you're not in Strata,
If you're not in Strata,
it's a different world, right?
super esoteric.
So,
but yeah, like it is the same idea of the peaker stuff, but like you've got to be more. You've really got to have, you know, really good sources of data and data verification. Who are the people in these buildings? We're interested not just in the owners. We want Strata's such a weird thing. Coming from a real estate background, you know, strata managers can't get out of their own fucking way to be business people, right? Like the amount of times through my whole career I've spoken to strata managers and you go, "Do you collect the tenant details?" We don't deal with tenants. We don't want to know about tenants. I'm like, you got this.
yeah.
I just can't understand how people couldn't see the value of
Strata managers often don't think like owners.
yeah.
They don't think like business owners.
Just even in your service, isn't it more efficient to deliver a service if you can tell everyone, hey, that the power's going to be out? Like, they're just allergic to this idea that there's some value in harvesting that data. So Taylor's, first real like problem that it needed to solve was, okay, how do you validate all of the data? How do I get all the details of all the owners, not just the owners, but their tenants? And if you join owners, I want everyone's details. If you've got, a share house, I want everyone's details. How do I get that data and maintain it and keep it to a really high degree of accuracy?
So how did you get your first $2 million that you put into Taylor? Was that through Vantage? Was that personal funding? Was that external?
So the partners in Taylor were the same for shareholders of Vantage.
Yep.
Plus Candice, my sister, who runs it and
Did you get more than 1/5 for yourself?
No.
Tell me you did.
Tell me you
No.
did.
Oh my God, I'm so disappointed.
No.
I don't think we'd be friends anymore.
I know. Well, at the time I didn't. Every undertaking that you think, it was a fairly simple, narrow idea, strategy. We were gonna put parcel lockers in these buildings, intelligent parcel lockers that you needed to be on Taylor to be able to get access to them. And that was how that was our Trojan horse. And that was fairly simple. I wasn't expecting that I was going to be pouring so much of my time and energy into it. It just grows in complexity.
Let me play that back to you, right? So you had 3 investors. You made an insane amount of money with them, for them. You got your next venture. Every single one will follow you on in a heartbeat, right?
Yep.
They made a great return out of this super cool guy. I'm going to make a great return my second time around. I reckon even if you said we're all 5 of us will invest the same, but 80% says to you, if I was an investor, I'd say yes.
Yeah. Well,
I'd say yes in a heartbeat.
I might need some representation or some, I don't know, business coaching. To me, yeah. And to be fair,
because you would have, right? If you'd put money in and you'd 10 or 20 or 30 exit,
of course,
and that second time around said, okay, put money in, but I'll give you 5%, not 5. Like, would you ever say no?
I don't know what the answer is, Saurabh, but I mean, to me, it was like I was wanting to get into this new exciting thing with the same exciting team that I'd done this other exciting.
I totally get you want to get in with the same people. What I'm trying to understand is, why didn't you negotiate a different deal for yourself?
I wish that I had, to be fair.
Is it that you didn't know to do it? You didn't.
Well, there's a few different things.
Like, what was it?
No, it was probably just at the time I felt like it was. I was pleased to be able to invite my sister and for her to have a 1/5 share in it as well, when she didn't have anything to do with Vantage, and so that was sort of like an invitation to come and participate in this thing at an equal share, and similar to what. Until you shut all over it, I look back on my time at Vantage and I was like, I got led into this thing and I got all this success and made all this money. Now I feel like I left too much on the table. So that felt like a win. Me and Candice, 20% each, so it's 40% between us. We do everything as a team anyway. And in fairness, I didn't have it was a small idea when it started. It didn't. Now I've got such high conviction. I think this has got more potential than any strata business that I'm involved in. But at the time, I didn't realize that. So I'm a flippant guy. I made a flippant decision, and then, if I can be bluntly honest, I couldn't have funded this thing on my own anyway. Like for all the success of Vantage Strata and going from zero to, being worth 25 million bucks and I own half of it. There's not much of that fucking money that's available to me. Like it's all wrapped
But
up
I'm not talking about getting the
in the
funding because,
business.
like, I would have gotten the same amount of funding. Like, that's a given, right? You got to fund this properly
Yeah.
because you haven't exited Vantage, right? So there's no huge cash pile
There's
that you've
no
got
event. Yeah.
to go to reinvest in the next thing. I'm just trying to understand, why didn't you ask for more this time?
I think you've made your point, Saurabh. I
No,
get
I'm
it.
trying to understand why.
Are you trying to get to
Yeah.
core?
No, like, what was it that made you? So I wonder if there's a connection between that and the question we're trying to solve, right? Why can I raise for others but not for myself?
Yeah.
And I just, maybe not. I'm just trying to understand why.
There could be a connection. I don't know that there is. I think this simple, maybe unsatisfying answer is that it was, you know, it was just a flippant thing. I didn't see this as the next big thing that I was going to pull myself into. It was sort of a little side thing, and I was like, oh, what, it started out probably more as a thing of Vantage. Like the origin of it started out as this cog of Vantage. So the natural evolution for that was when I'm like, oh no, let's break it off. But all the conversations and all the thought planning around it had started as the Vantage team we're putting out, we're expanding this extra sort of division. If there's a link between that and the not being able to raise money for myself stuff,
Let me ask. Let me give you a couple possibilities. Tell me if any resonate. To give everyone the same cut, that feels like the fair thing to do.
yeah,
Everyone puts the same amount of money in. Everyone gets their fair cut. Is that something that's important to you?
yeah, yeah. On the face of it, I mean, and you might be going there anyway, but what actually ends up happening in practice is it turns out to be not fair because everyone's contributing
Different levels.
money,
Yeah.
but all these other guys are passive, and the only people contributing anything surplus to money and sleepless nights and sitting up, booking air conditioning services in it fucking over the Christmas holidays. It's only my sister Candace that do that.
But I guess I'm trying to get one step before that, right? So was it that? I mean, is one of the motivators for you fairness? Is that a thing that might have driven this decision, or is that not a thing that drove this decision?
Oh, look, I'm an inherently fair person. It sometimes doesn't occur to me not to just do the fair thing, and yeah, like yeah,
Let me use a different word instead of fairness. Equalness.
yeah. Well, we're four equal partners in Vantage. My automatic assumption is we're going to be four equal partners in this other thing that we do.
Then was it more that you wanted to be equal partners, or you just didn't know there was another way to do it?
Probably a bit of, there's probably quite a bit of that. I didn't know that there was another way to do it. Everything that I do and everything that I have, transactions, property stuff, investments, and all the rest of it, it's all, and I'm hoping the day comes when I can get out of this mindset, but it's all fucking hustle, man. Like I don't have the resources to do a lot of stuff, and I haven't. So if I want to get into something, like if I saw some opportunity to do something here and I needed to find a way to make it happen, like I kind of need to bring these people along with me. And in fairness, I don't know that they would have said, yeah, we'll fund 80% of it, but we'll let you have the lion's share. I just don't think that would have been the case.
Yeah.
Everyone has amnesia with Vantage too, by the way. Like and me and my business partner are great. We're like brothers, but like, everyone has like sort of forgets the contribution that was made or
Everyone always over indexes their contribution.
over indexes
every single person.
And I'm sure I'm guilty of it as well, But yeah, like I'm sure one day, like we'll look back on it and Rupert will be the guy that came into Vantage and made it profitable, and but people forget about the 10 years of going to fucking committee meetings and having people calling you up on Sundays and all that stuff that builds a foundation. yeah, people overestimate their own role in it.
One of the board members that I used to work with told me one day, and he made it sound like it was a very insightful comment he was making, that, sure, Steve Jobs took Apple from 0 to 1 trillion, but Tim Cook took it from 1 to 3 trillion.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, Tim Cook is so amazing.
Yeah.
And in my mind, no. 0 to 1 trillion is so much harder.
Yeah, totally. Zero to
anything.
Zero to
$100
is really hard. It's that hard.
Yeah.
And it's the most frightening. It's the most risky. It's the
highest chance of
failure.
failure.
Totally. And that's the thing that I sort of carry around with me a bit. And I don't actually need accolades. I'm not. Everyone likes to be given a pat on the tummy, and everyone, there's no person, me included, that doesn't like someone saying, "Oh, wow, what a day!"
Yeah.
But I'm not driven by it. It's not the fuel. Some people, that is the fuel that drives them forward. It's not. It's nice. But it's sort of. It's not the core thing that I need.
So another thought is, the other reason that you might have gone equals on the investment is it might have felt like you're reducing your risk. You're reducing the downside.
Yeah, I think there's a really good sense of that, to be fair.
Yeah, explain that more.
Well, reducing my personal risk, not so much, but spreading the risk to me is not too far off increasing the chance of success. I really want.
Is it increasing the chance of success or reducing the chance of failure?
I think
Which one is it? Because I think it's one or the other.
If it's one or the other and it's binary, then it's increasing the chance of success for me. I don't think anything's ever going to fail. Like I'd make a terrible fund manager or something. Like
you believe everything?
Yeah, I believe everything. I'm so
that's why your buddies come to you to invest in their companies.
Yeah, exactly. There's a I'm working on this theory. I'm sure I read it somewhere. Maybe I don't think I made it up. I don't think I came up with it, but it's like I'm perennially late. And people are like. People think it's so disrespectfully, like, you think your time is more valuable than our time. And that, my missus is always on me about that. She comes from a military family. And the truth is, actually, I think my theory is I'm just optimistic. It's not that I plan to be late ever. I look at something and I go, yeah, I can get all that done in that period of time, be there in that amount of time. And I kind of am that way, naively in a business context. People come to me with an idea and I go, wow, this is going to be great. I find it really hard to not get enthusiastic by stuff. And that's a real blind spot for myself, like I've got to really check my own biases on things like Taylor and other things.
Is Taylor an example of that?
Yeah, I've looked at that and examined that. And I'm nothing if not self-aware, like I've really had to check my biases on that to see, is this just sunk cost fallacy? And I'm confident the answer is no. And and that doesn't mean, like, to me, I don't have to get to a point where I'm like, this is definitely going to work and it's a no-brainer, but it's the risk versus reward ratio upside to me is there's enough positive indicators there. Like in any given building, we will run a campaign to do something like the pest or whatever. We'll get 30% penetration within that community, and we'll get it year after year, and we'll get it in different areas, and we'll get it in different property types. And I'm like, that to me, and it's been a grind, and it's not efficient, and you can't scale it because we can't have a system that relies on sort of a lot of this manual stuff. But I know I can build the tech that makes that efficient. Partway through that, we've succeeded in that regard, in a lot of respects. But if I know I've got that 30% penetration, I know 30% of the people in this community are going to want to take up that service. I know I've got the raw materials of something there. Like it's, and if I can deliver that at scale efficiently, I know there's something there. So I've thought about whether I've just got this blind spot where I'm all in on it, and I don't think I am.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, do me a favor. After you succeed at Taylor, do your next thing. Make sure you own the majority cut.
50-50. Are you in? Let's do it.
But if you gave me 50% of your company for just a bit of cash, I'd snap your hand off. I'd take it straight away.
Okay, good.
But you should be owning like 80% of your next venture.
Yeah.
And by then you might have a bit of cash from Taylor, and that might have done really well. So you might need that funding anyway.
Might have a bit of cash from Vantage.
Yes, that's right.
Putting out good profit now. So
yeah.
and again, it's part of the motive. Sometimes I think if you like, you kind of need to be desperate to go and raise money. Maybe we never really had that with Taylor. We have the ability to self fund it because even though I don't have a huge pile of cash to go and throw at it at once, we can fund it.
You can be efficient as well, right?
I can be putting out, like if I'm contributing, I think I put in about we all put in about $8,000 a month to keep to continue
running
the development horizon. Like we do that sort of in perpetuity. People get sick of that and it's got fatigue, but it's kind of means I kind of get a little bit further. I'm like, no, I just don't want to go and reveal this just yet. I want to, like, there's these things I want to get to. And then, but to me, it's this it's this kind of far moving sort of horizon that I sort of seem to keep pushing down the line.
So with the 2 million you've gotten so far, that's been from the 5 people and self-funding, is it? Have you got an external funding yet?
Yeah, no, we haven't had external funding. It's been all from ourselves, except that, and it's like doesn't lend itself to a podcast because it's quite complicated. But a major part of the business is this Trojan horse strategy of these parcel lockers. So we sell parcel lockers to a building. They pay us, an establishment fee for the parcel locker. We bank that, and then we get a line of credit through NAB as an asset finance. So we've probably got $500,000, $600,000 worth of locker
kind of working capital that you've converted to working capital.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That kind
So
of
that's that's money that's come from the bank essentially.
So do you need to raise money?
I don't know that I do. I need to raise money. We don't need to raise money. I really would like to raise money.
Why is that?
Because we're now 4 years into it. We now really have really good clarity on what we need to do, the things we need to build, the tech we need to, continue to build out. And we've got, a couple of really great guys, but the bandwidth is always shoot up to 100%.
And how much would you raise if you went out to market?
Not heaps. I think, like, I did the maths. I reckon I'd like to get about $1.2 million. So it's really accelerant money.
Yeah.
And it's got two sort of prongs to it. One is, to be able to hire the tech devs just to accelerate. Like, we'll get there eventually. It'll just take, what'll take another 2 years, we could hopefully do it in 6 months. So it's part that and part sales team. Like, we now actually have a product. We've got a product market fit, and it actually is.
You got to commercialize now and get it
attractive. Like, I want to go and sell this.
Why is it that, and this isn't so implicit in your question, if Pat came to you and said, I need to raise $1.5 million, you're totally helping put a plan together.
Yeah.
You're totally connecting to 15 of your friends. Oh, you connect with me, right? You're totally connected to 15 of your friends.
It's sort of a question to answer. I think what it comes down to is, particularly for some of the introductions that I've made that have ended up being successful, I kind of want to reserve the opportunity to go to some of these guys, but I feel like I've got one chance to do it.
Well, what makes you say that?
I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I don't feel like if I've got one shot to go and put my best foot forward and ask these guys for some cash, if I fail at that or I don't do it, we're not ready, or it doesn't make sense, or there's no evidence to support it, I might have
kind of burnt that bridge.
Yeah. I can't come back for a second go.
And do you think that's real, that you aren't ready, the message isn't right, the product isn't
I definitely think the message isn't right. Like, we've put this pitch together. Like, I've got such pitch fatigue from every fucking person.
I've seen the Taylor pitch.
And every time, like, we spent too much time taking feedback from everyone in sort of in having gone and spoken about it phase, that it's just this complicated sort of Frankenstein of a thing. And yeah, it's definitely not right. We never really had. What I need is a venture capitalist to really understand exactly what we're doing, spend some time and come out and say, here's the pitch that you need.
Oh, because your pitch is written from a founder's perspective.
Yeah.
Not from an investor's perspective.
Yeah. And probably from a strata, a strata acolyte perspective.
Yeah, strata.
I'm talking to someone
who knows
yeah, this all translates to people.
But that's totally solvable. You spend a couple of days with the right person, you can totally solve that.
Yeah.
So is that
it's also like, also wasn't totally by mistake either. Like in my mind, like the investors I want. So going back to your question, do we need capital? Do we need to raise capital? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I don't think we need to. But if I was to, I know the people I want to raise capital from. It's not, with respect, it's not some dude at Cub who's heaps of money. I want to get it from
Your big potential customers, I imagine.
yeah.
Because it totally makes sense because you want to lock them in, believe in the story.
Yeah, I want them to go point this at our portfolio now. Yeah, let's have a much bigger sandpit to go and make this thing work in. So, like, I sort of intentionally my hope or my belief is when I'm pitching it to that audience, at least it translates, and that's actually the strategic, smart money that I'm actually after.
They help me understand. Like often, what's hard to untangle is the difference between the emotion and reality. So the emotion is you're not quite ready, the business isn't ready. Is that reality?
Yeah, I mean, no, I think the answer is it doesn't have to be the reality. It is because I just am not because it requires a lot.
Is it the objective reality?
Yeah, it's the amount of time that I actually have and bandwidth that I have to actually. What I'd like to do, to be perfectly honest, Rupert, I hope Rupert doesn't watch this. I've already said stuff about him.
You've said amazing stuff about it, right?
In trouble. I hope I get a chance to say all the good stuff about him. But the if I had my way, I'd be 100% deployed in Taylor. But
Okay.
I'm probably 5%, 10%.
So you're not getting enough time to bring that last little part together.
I don't have the time. I just don't have the time to bring it together.
Yeah.
And my sister Candice, who runs it, she's brilliant. She's like on the spectrum. She's the most incredible product person like I've ever known. But her role and her lane is not to go and find the money or
It's
go.
not this.
Yeah,
not
it's
this.
executing on the actual thing and the tech stuff. Like it's super, super hard.
But help me understand that you're so passionate about it, yet it takes up so little of your time allocation.
Yeah, and that's mainly, there's part of that's just sort of personal circumstance stuff. I mean, by the time I left and just stood aside from Vantage in the CEO role, I let go of a pretty handsome salary. So now
You went from getting paid salary plus dividends to just dividends, right?
to just dividends.
Yeah.
And then, we've had a couple of lean years, even though we've been making more profit these days. We did, under my stewardship, the stupid fucking things, Division 7A loans and like, so, we've got a really good CFO who has made us take our medicine these last couple of years. So, it's only like up to this point, dividends haven't been like pouring in. And I also had my first child last year.
Congratulations.
September last year. No, September the year before, sorry. My partner stopped working as well. So all these things together, I moved to Melbourne. I've had to deploy my time into things that bring money in the door.
Yeah, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but is it just a timing thing that
everything in my life is a timing thing.
But is it a timing thing that will solve this, right? That will once in 6-12 months,
yeah,
you're freed up a bit, dividends are greater, you can just spend the mind space and sort this out?
Yeah, totally. I'm absolutely certain of that. Like it's like I'm back in full-time deployed at Vantage now because Rupert and I exited our other business partner, and we agreed between the two of us if we're going to swallow this huge, cost of buying out the partner, we're both going to be in it. So I'm there full-time deployed doing that. But, that's what we've been able to do in a pretty short period of time since then, has created a fair bit of space as well. So I can certainly see the time coming when I'm able to really focus my time and energy in Taylor, but it is a timing thing.
Yeah.
My problem is I've got a real delusion, like for whatever that thing is that makes me late, is the same thing that makes me look down the road and go, 3 months, I reckon in 3 months.
You get there.
That's why I make commitments and buy property, options and stuff. And I think, how am I going to pay for that? I've got 12 months. By the time that comes around, it'll be fine,
So then is this actually a problem you don't need to actively solve? Time will solve this for you?
The time will solve it, but like that's, life has many paths before it. Time will solve it if I can't solve it faster and sooner in the meantime. And I would like to solve it faster and sooner. And you're going to want to kick me in the head because, like that looks like, diluting chairs and bringing on other partners. But to me, you're only alive once. Like I don't want to grind it out another 5 years to get where I could get to in two. Frankly.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting external funding and diluting yourself out. If that makes sense and the pie gets bigger, it's always the best thing to do.
Yeah.
I was just saying that you deserve a bigger piece of that pie.
Yeah.
Which is probably just a nuance to that.
Yeah.
But you won't be able to go and get proper funding till you're freed up to do this full time, right?
Totally. Yeah.
It just won't.
Yeah, that is the reality of it. And the silver lining to that is that, providing the other partners remain committed, we can continue to chug along. And there's also a real value. Like, this sounds really contradictory, but if I'd gotten what I wanted much earlier, we wouldn't have had the business we had. There's a real value in slowness. I've always, I read a lot of books and I love biographies and I'm interested in tech leaders and all this. Well, this move fast and break stuff, I just do not. That hasn't been my experience. Like, we would have made just such different decisions that we wouldn't have uncovered some of the absolute gems that we've uncovered that were just through because we had no choice but to go slow.
But I think that scenario only works where you're in a deeply competitive space.
Yeah.
If you're now like a Chat GPT versus Gemini versus Anthropic,
yeah,
like you got to be doing stuff crazy fast and break every ethical rule you can just to get the new version out.
You're totally right, and I know exactly what your point is there. And this is one of the things that, like I say often to my sister Candice, when we're frustrated at how long it's taking or frustrated at how hard a problem is to solve that we're focusing on at the moment, a grin comes over because I'm like, we're in this blue ocean by ourselves. There's no one that we're competing with.
And you're still 3 generations ahead of anyone else, right?
No one can copy it. Like, no one will be able to copy it because it was so fucking hard to do that it's just not replicatable. The only way to replicate it is no one's going to be able to look at it and go, that's a great idea.
I'll go do it myself.
I'm going to do it myself. People can do it. It takes this really...
Every strata manager I know has kind of tried.
I've seen so many.
Like when I was at Urbanize, we tried.
And
Pinker tried.
I've tried to raise... I've pitched to a couple of other strata businesses. I've gotten the answer like from...
We'll just do it ourselves?
Well, there's two answers. One is, we're just going to do this ourselves.
And they never do.
They won't.
They never do.
The other one is, the other answer I've gotten more than once is, I don't think it can be done.
Like, it's not solvable.
It's not. Yeah, I think it's a. I think
it's my first reaction when you told me about it.
Yeah,
only because I've been one of those guys, but not a lot of resource, not a lot of effort. Tried to solve this.
Yeah,
like 6-7 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
Because I've been out of Urbanized 4 years now.
Yeah,
so probably 8-9 years ago we tried to solve it.
Yeah,
and it's hard to solve a problem someone else has not already solved.
Yeah. It is really hard. I find that a positive, that gives me motivation. It's really hard to solve. And if we solve it to the extent we solve it, and I'm convinced we will, and there'll be a evidence of the fact that there is a commercial outcome here for people that want to go and solve it. Others will come and try and solve it, and I've no doubt they will, but it'll take them. Just take them time. There's no roadmap that doesn't involve.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's a fast track roadmap that doesn't involve this really, really painstaking
and
difficult stuff.
Yeah, how you kind of said you're super optimistic, then I'll tether that with you probably have quite a high risk tolerance because you don't see the risk.
Yeah, I do, unfortunately.
Which is great. But what it means is, like if you invest in like a tech startup like Patrick's, right? He's got a 1 in 50 chance of success.
Yeah.
Which is probably about right, but if he succeeds, he'll get 150x, so you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So on average, you'll probably do okay. Because Patrick and you are trying to solve a problem that no one's actually succeeded in solving.
Yeah.
So you probably have about a 1 in 50 chance of success.
Yeah.
But if you went and set up a strata manager, I don't know, Vantage Sydney or Chris Miller Sydney strata.
Yeah.
1,000 people have solved that.
Yeah.
Based on your experience, you've got like a 99% chance of success. Yeah. But your return is much smaller.
Yeah. The return's smaller. It's less,
it's fun.
It's rewarding and it's fun, and I've done that.
Yeah, you've done and succeeded.
I own 50% of Vantage, and like that's
But that kind of explains to me why, like, you didn't go pick a Strata auxiliary service.
yeah,
You didn't go buy a plumbing company, for example,
yeah,
right? Or you didn't go buy a facilities management building company,
yeah.
building management, because that's
And
what every other Strata manager has done, right?
it is, and it's what, and it was like, believe me, over the years, that was probably where my gaze had turned before I turned to Taylor. And I've seen other strata companies that were trying to, do like market aggregations, show me what their strategy and it is. And it's always this, what do you call it, concentric circles, where you've got the strata management and then they go, oh, we're going to do valuations and we're going to
We'll do rentals, we'll do leases, we'll
all
do
these other things. But they're always
landlord insurance, we'll do,
yeah. Well, no, not even that stuff. It's the they always tend to be, and they focus on the primary services that their clients sort of need. So common area cleaning, building valuations. They're these, fire stuff.
So
They're these things.
yeah. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to sell more services to the same person.
Yeah,
You're trying to sell more services to other people that live in the same area.
totally. Yeah.
And the first one is probably lower risk, but it's lower return.
It's lower risk. It's inherently, in my mind, inherently conflicted. And not
insanely conflicted.
yeah, not unsolvably conflicted.
Is it unsolvably conflicted?
I don't think it's unsolvable. I think
I've not seen someone solve it
well, I don't.
effectively.
I have thought about the way you
Mm.
would or you should do that in a strata business. So Vantage has Vantage Strata, and we have building management as a business as well. But it's all totally vertically integrated. There's no question about, is this a related company? It's they wear Vantage shirts. It's part of it. We're offering two services. I think
You don't have the illusion of a different company name.
there's no illusion of a company. There's no so. I think if you're going to try and vertically integrate, you need to be able to say, we can also do these other services.
And you
Here's what
transparently
it
look,
looks like, and you can choose us or you can choose not to.
But why not? Because you've got obviously a great intellect, a lot of energy. Why not apply your energy to something that's a lot more likely to succeed, like one of these auxiliary services? So you just sell something else to the same person. It might not be building, might not be insurance, it might be something else.
Yeah, I think that what excites me about the Taylor stuff is that it actually is the much bigger opportunity, and it bothers me, to be fair, that it is just so blindly inefficient. Like, you have an apartment building of 400 units that will settle. The building finished this month. People are moving into it. They all get a manufacturer's warranty that says, by the way, you got to service your air conditioner every year. And no one has thought, well, why don't we coordinate some of these things together and harness the collective buying power of all of these people that need to do the same thing to the same Mitsubishi air conditioner at the same time.
But I find there's a very weak correlation between inefficiency and solvable in a monetizable kind of way.
Yeah. I think to the extent that we fail, it is because the efficiency dividend was unable to be.
Was not great enough.
Yeah. Well, it was unable to be unlocked. And, like at the time that, we sort of find ourselves, we've got this, convergence of mobile app technology, pretty good, sort of tech capability to sort of overlay to unlock some of these things. And the guys that tried smarter communities and all this, I bet you they were trying it 15 years ago.
It was a generation ago.
It was a different time, I think you've got to revisit that based on the tools and the things that are available today. And and a lot of the insights that we've had, take me back to so much of the solutions, so much of the problem, so much of the solution actually lies in really foundational stuff that people aren't thinking of. It's not, how do you get the best, deal from the pest control person? It's actually about data verification. It's it's so much a data play.
To figure out who your customers are and actually know who they are.
Have a means of collecting that data and refreshing that data, verifying that data, and having that happen without the need for people to wander onto your app and go, oh, I've decided I'm going to check out what's for sale on the Strata plot. That's not how people behave. You know? People aren't logging in. You know, the building links and they've all got a marketplace area. They think that people are going to wander in and buy stuff. That's just not what's going to happen. No. You need to go to the people with the compelling, convenient offer and make it super easy for them to make use of that. And if you don't know who the people are, if I don't have a good, sophisticated means of knowing that you moved out and you were a tenant and someone else moved in, like, then you really, like, you got to start there.
Yeah. I mean, something you said just kind of made sense for me, that like one of your core strengths is, as you mentioned, like it's your people skills, your relationships. So now you're just figuring out how to sell to more people, right?
Yeah.
And you're just trying to figure out how to sell to people at scale.
Totally. And it's also like my core belief with this stuff and what sort of motivates me is that I'm taking a punt. People actually want these services in the first place. Like, if you live in an apartment, and I see the world through the prism of my own experience, right? I'm not trying to talk someone into the idea that they want this particular thing. They actually already want it. It's latent, or they're utilizing, or they're doing it anyway. I live in an apartment and I'm in the middle of the city. It's too far to drive conveniently to the dry cleaner. But if you're in Canberra in the middle of winter, it's a really cold, blistery walk, and I've got to take all my shirts and, you know, and walk over to the dry cleaner. I'm like, why can't someone come and coordinate that for me? And I live in this building that there's a good chance that there's going to be a lot of other young working professionals who are all getting their shirts and suits dry cleaned.
There'll be 10 people every day, right?
Yeah, the need is there, and they're actually already utilizing those services. It's just not been met in a convenient way that they can make use of.
How come the needs are obvious? You've got the confidence to sell to people. You've got a good team around you. You've got funding. You've been doing this for 4 years. How come you haven't succeeded yet? How come it hasn't just completely exploded?
Yeah,
why do I not have a Taylor locker in my little complex here? Right?
Yeah, to be fair, it's a technical challenge. Like, it's actually the tech. Like, it's not a tech business, but you could easily mistake it for a prop tech business.
Because the tech has to work to enable all those transactions to come through.
The tech has to work to be able to make all those transactions work. And what you think seems fairly simple at the surface level, as you dig into it, it's much, 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 much more complicated as you get further in. So we're far enough down the line now that we really know we've built a lot of stuff. We transact a lot of stuff. Like, if we've got a apartment building that completes, and we go and get a depreciation report from a quantity surveyor, and we go out to the community, like, we sell them without doing anything. New owner comes in. Are you an owner? Are you an investor? You're an investor. Great. You get this offer for depreciation. We'll sell it to you for $399 instead of paying $700.
I'd buy that every day of the week. Every day of the week I'd buy that.
Yeah, that happens. And that's the stuff that gets me excited, because I know, you know, now I need to be able to build that same flow for all of these.
Is this your first time building tech?
Yeah, and it's been so grueling, because, you know, many years ago I was involved in a food business, and I should have fucking learnt my lesson then, to be honest, because I look back now and I'm like, I've done the same thing. I think if you're going to be in a food business or in a restaurant business and you're not a chef, it's hard. You're going to get, I tell you what, you're going to make a lot of mistakes and you're going to get fleeced by a lot of people.
I was going to say, it's more than that. You'll get screwed, because developers, one of their core competencies, you think is making tech. No. It's to screw the person who's paying them.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's like, you know, if I went to a builder to go build me a house, they will screw me.
Totally, yeah.
And I will not know better. That's not my thing.
That's exactly right. And you can kind of get enough sense that, you know, you work out you're being screwed, or you think, you know, things aren't going the way you want them to, but you don't know enough to be able to penetrate that.
When you think you do, they'll talk you out of it.
Yeah.
And they'll convince you you're wrong.
But yeah. And then you make irrational decisions, you know, you know, there was a lot of, and looking back, I don't think much of it was, like, frustrated with the pace, but I don't think a lot of it was totally sunk cost, even when we scrapped and started again, because it was that scrap and start again that the way that we were able to rebuild things and the structure of the architecture that we had was learning.
That sounds like justification.
No, it's
After the
not.
event? No?
It isn't. And I'm not like, because when I say scrapped and rebuilt, it wasn't that we totally scrapped and rebuilt a thing that we built that was unusable. It's we built
Yeah.
stuff on Zoho, We've got to a point where like, well, actually, we need to actually own these things. Zoho is working quite fine, but it's not like we were able to look down the road and go, well, if we are wanting to have something, but that was a good, useful way of being able to prove that people wanted to buy these things and people wanted to transact. But everything, when you build something on something else, everything needs a workaround. Everything needs I don't want a workaround. I want a thing that is designed for the thing that I want it to do from
So I think it's
the outset.
I think it's common for most people to underestimate the complexity in something they don't know.
It's
like whenever you, remember a decade ago, all taxi drivers were mortgage brokers or real estate agents, and they were investing in property.
Totally.
Or they were putting their money into building apartment complexes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Because
And
they don't know what they don't know.
yeah, and
it's unknowable.
and in the tech world, the only sort of frame of reference that I have was that period of time in a food business, not being a chef, not understanding how kitchens work and how you like that. You're just out to sea. And we've spent a lot of time with Taylr being out to sea, and that's still a key. Like we've got a really good, I'm really happy with our guys now. I just need 5 of them. I've only got 1 getting really great outcomes. It's just so slow that it's frustrating, but it is still a key sort of problem, I think, that at some point I'd like to solve by having someone in the business, a stakeholder in the business that actually has that competence. The problem with that though is that you can't just find anyone to bring in as a stakeholder too, because they're just as likely to.
You need someone you trust.
You need someone you trust. You need the capability and the technical understanding, but also someone that's not going to just take the piss.
Because what you got out of your 3 co-founders or 3 investors at Vantage was you got a group of 3 people you trusted, and they trusted you.
Yeah.
So they just know on day one, Chris is not screwing us, we're not screwing Chris.
That's right. Yeah.
But what you didn't get was the dozen skills you need to pull this off.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to get both.
It is. It's really, it's really hard to get both. And you just, you just bumble on into mistakes without, like, hindsight's 2020. If we were starting again, even if we had to make all of the technical mistakes.
What would you get? You get, obviously, you're the Strata guy, you get a tech guy, you get like a tradesperson, you get like a locker expert or something, I don't know.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't worry about the trades expert, but definitely we would dial it up in the tech. Someone who, I don't know that you need a coder. You need someone who knows how to speak the language of the tech people.
In the same way that you're not a Strata manager anymore.
That's right.
You've been out of that game, but you can manage a Strata manager.
Totally.
And figure out when they're scamming you.
Totally is a really good analogy. And that's a deficiency that we've had. And we still have moments where we're like, we have moments where we're like, well, I don't know, we trust our team. They're like, they deliver really good things, but should it take this long? I believe what they're telling us, but I kind of want to see more progress.
So I reckon what
faster.
they'll probably do, like a really good dev manager who wants to screw someone, they won't give you metrics you can measure them against.
Yeah.
They will give you roadmaps that are fluffy and keep moving stuff around. Like they won't be reporting velocity to you. They won't be telling you how many, what the code quality is like. And you might not know to ask.
Yeah.
You would not be expected to know to ask.
Yeah. And you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the right questions to ask. And we still are deficient in that side of it. And I guess, again, this is my optimism. I really have high faith in the people that we've got working for us now, but we went through a lot of duds. When I look at the progress and why things are slow, the feedback that we get from the guy, primarily the main guy that works for this, is sort of hard to swallow pills, which is, you guys keep making things more complicated. We're doing this thing and it turns into this thing. Now that's sort of unavoidable because...
No, but what it is that a good dev manager is also good at managing scope.
Yeah.
So he'd be the guy that'd be like, Chris, I can do that for you, but I want an extra 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It's an extra $8,000 Tell me, is it worth it?
Yeah.
The other thing that I'd say is, look, I'm a fantastic car driver. I'm sure you are as well, right? I'm an amazing car
I'm a
driver.
terrible car driver.
I'm fantastic, but I still buy insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Because no matter how great I am, I
That's
still always buy the comprehensive
yeah.
insurance.
Totally. And it's probably a key error that we made early on, and it's still one that needs to be solved, to be fair.
Mm.
I still think we're gonna pull it off, but when we do, we're gonna look back and we'll go,
It just took a bit longer.
it was harder, more expensive, and more painful than it needed to
The
be.
actual cost will be not so much that. I reckon the cost will be that your mind space will be in that.
Yeah,
That it won't. So I'll give you an analogy. I was talking to a guy. He runs a clinical trials company, and we're chatting about AI. Totally up himself. If he ever listens, you
Yeah.
know who you are. And he was telling me how great AI is for coaching.
right.
And he was like, we're doing transfer pricing, so I learned all about it with AI over the weekend. And I met with KPMG, and at the end of that, KPMG said to me, "Oh, you actually don't need our advice. You're actually an expert."
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, "You dumbass! You need to be an expert in running clinical trials.
Yeah.
You don't need to be an expert in transfer pricing.
Yeah. Totally.
Outsource that to KPMG,
Yeah.
and don't let that occupy any of your mind space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because every mind CPU cycle you have in your brain." I think for you, it's got to be, how do you grow this business? How do you get client market fit?
Yeah.
How do you do that stuff that Chris Miller is an expert at?
Yeah, you are absolutely spot on, and you sort of said it when you led into that story. The cost will be like, to me, there's a real fatigue sort of cost, and it's draining. Like there's a burnout risk that it'll have taken longer and it would have cost more money, but actually the real cost in that was it was the fucking mental drain and
Yeah.
bandwidth that it has.
So is the real problem to solve not about why can I help others raise and not raise myself? Because we kind of know why you're not raising, because it's just not the right time. Is that the real problem to solve?
Yeah, probably not then, I guess.
Now, what would be the right problem? Let me cross that one out.
I think the right problem for me to solve is how can I get from where I am now to properly being deployed at the thing that requires my attention come to life.
Oh, okay. So how do you reorganize your time?
Yeah, or probably like, how do I do untangle myself from the things that I do spend most of my time on, and actually
how do you untangle yourself? Yeah.
So like there's an association to that, to money, and that's why maybe I constantly come back to I need to raise money. What I'm actually saying is I need to create the ability for me to just be doing this full time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if
money equals, I'll just pay myself a salary out of that business, and then I can spend all my time making it work.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I don't. So all my bandwidth goes towards the thing that I need to do to secure my income.
And the other part is, like, the real work right now in Taylor sounds like it's stuff that isn't your thing.
Yeah,
It's the technical build side of things,
totally.
which even if you had 100% of your time, you actually could not do that super well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't. It's definitely not my wheelhouse, the detail of it. But I'm a really valuable contributor in
I've got no doubt.
in
The vision, the direction.
Well, no, in the context. Like, what does this mean for a strata person? Like the people building this stuff, like they're connecting for the data from Property IQ, like they've got to, like, they don't understand.
But the terminology I'd use is you'd be like a really good domain expert.
Yeah, subject matter expert on the
user flows,
on
right?
the user and the people that, like the customers that we're trying to get at, what happens when a unit sells? Well, I'll tell you what happens. It goes to PEXA, and like, well, is there an opportunity for us to be getting the data from PEXA, and we're getting it instantly rather than waiting 2 weeks for the strata manager to get the notice from the solicitor? So that stuff is all contextual stuff that I am able to add value in. That is a collaboration piece that then I need to be able to feed to the likes of
machine,
others.
right?
Like, now I'm going to use that and build the technical components that make use of that insight.
So one thing that I've found is where I've made the most money and done the best stuff in my career is when I've only done the stuff I'm good at, that I have this insane comparative advantage. Just a simple example, right? So we get a housekeeper 5 days a week. We have some of the cooks for us 5 days a week, because I could totally do the laundry, but I'm shit at it.
we're kindred spirits, man. That's where I want to get my life. I've occasionally gotten myself there, and then I fucked it up by letting go of a big salary, and like get like I'm totally with you. Like I don't want to be a tech person. I want to be able to influence the direction that it goes by adding my insight into the customer. But let me tell you, every new locker that we deploy into a building and the client gives us $25,000-$30,000, and then I get that on an asset finance lease with NAB, and the rental of the locker
Amazing model.
pays off
Yeah.
the asset finance, so I just get that money up in the bank. Every one of those deals that I do fills that bank account. I'm great at dealing with developers. Why aren't I spending every single day out there getting a parcel locker into a new development?
I'll tell you the cost of it. So if you told me there was a guy that ran a business from 0 to 14,000 lots worth an insane amount of money, growing 80 employees in a decade, I'd say I reckon the next time he starts from scratch, he'll do that in a third of the time.
Yeah.
Because he would have learned 100,000 little mistakes that he made, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it'd be so much better.
Yeah.
But I wonder if I see the grin, but I wonder is that why you're 4 years in or 2 years in full time kind of thing, and you haven't had that same replication of success straight away? Because that Vantage at the start of the game, you were playing to your strength.
Yeah.
Relationships, sales. I know.
Yeah. Win deals. Yeah.
Now there are deals to win, but you're just not winning them. You're doing the other stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm
because there's definitely deals to be won, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely
heaps of deals to be won. I'm not really even doing all that much of the other stuff. Like I'm giving it the scraps that I've got. Like if I woke up tomorrow and I said, all I'm doing now is knocking on doors for developers or committees, and I'm saying, are you planning to put a locker in this development? Yes, great. Let's talk.
But if you have a constraint that you can't allocate more time than you're allocating, imagine if all the 5 or 10% of your time that you could allocate the next week was just on doing the deals.
Yeah.
And you had Candace, plus maybe you had someone else helping her, just doing all the other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd be called to a meeting once a week.
Yeah.
With the domain expertise.
Yeah.
This is how it should work. This should work. This should work. This should work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
And I reckon if that happened, the time to success would be much shorter.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway from today?
I don't know where to start. There actually are some pretty good key sort of insights and things that I think I can go and focus on. Like I think maybe I'd overthink the money side of it a little bit too much, and it's actually really drilled down further and further. It's actually about the freedom to spend the time to make this thing work.
To make it come together.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So last thing to wrap up. So one thing we ask all of our guests is, what's something you've always known to be true that later on you found out actually wasn't?
Yeah, good question. I've got two that come to mind. And one's professional or in business, and the other one's more personal. But the business one is, I've always thought that attitude was the most important thing. You got the right attitude, sort of everything will come together. I don't think that anymore, particularly as I've grown teams. That you need capability, you need attitude and capabilities. Those two things have to come together. So yeah, that's the business lens. But personally, I always knew that I just was not interested in becoming a parent, and my life was totally full without having kids. And man, I'm so glad to say that I found that was completely wrong.
Oh, fantastic.
The most incredible.
I'll tell you why it might be completely wrong for you. I reckon it happened at a time that you had a lot more free time.
I think so, yeah. It was awesome.
The more time you spend, the more you like them.
Yeah, it was an awesome first year of being a parent, to be honest. And it's really, it's reframed a lot of my life, to be honest. So it's been great.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do want to be a guest, make sure you hit me up and do follow me on socials, and make sure you check out future episodes. Thanks, guys.